This is another episode of Totally Detailed, and we have Kyle Camus here from Kyle's Auto Detailing in Colorado. How are you doing this morning, Kyle? It's afternoon here, but well, nearly evening here, so it's morning, 9 o'clock with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? It's a little early, but I'm usually here on Sundays anyways, getting ready for the week. So happy to do this with you.
Yeah, we're doing great. So still the same appalling weather that we had the other day when we tried this once before, and it all went pear-shaped and cut off. But that's technology for you.
That's right.
How was the week been since when was it, Tuesday, Wednesday, we tried to do this, and how was the week?
Yeah, it's been going good, man. Been busy, been working through jobs, booking more jobs, getting ready for a busy summer.
Cool. What sort of cars you been doing?
So a couple of different ones I've worked on lately have been I worked on a Tesla the other day, and then we had a couple trucks in, and then just a couple daily drivers and a couple nice ones. So we do it all here.
Good, super. So tell us, what sort of made you get into the industry?
I'll tell you, I've probably been around cars my whole life without knowing it, with my father, who's very much a hot rod guy and into that scene when he was younger, and had other vehicles as well, like Jeeps and stuff. But I'd say my first early memories were going to car shows, or hot rod shows, we'd call them, rod runs.
Yep.
And then from there, just working with him on his car and learning what I didn't know was interior detailing at the time. And then, so I've been doing that for quite a few years, but that's definitely where my bug probably started, was my father. And now anything that involves vehicles, it's good for me.
Yeah, we all have to start somewhere, don't we? And it's normally sort of with your parents' vehicles. I think with a lot of people, it's or doing your own, or doing then your parents, and then friends, and family, and then it gets to friends, and then all of a sudden friends start saying, oh, you want so and so, and it sort of grows from there. And before you know it, you've got a business, and it's like, is this my business? It's strange how the amount of people that we speak to, and that's exactly how it goes with a lot of them. And they just sort of formed a business without even expecting it, and it's which is cool, because that way it's not driven by money. We're all in business to make money, but it's driven by a passion rather than the actual bucks at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, and I tell people, if it wasn't professionally, I'd still be detailing. It's something that, as I grew older, I got back into when I was around high school time, and just purely therapy for me. I could go in the garage at the time and work on my vehicle, and like you said, just spawned from there into other people's vehicles and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's great fun, and I love learning with it. Something new all the time.
Yeah. So how long have you actually been doing it now as a full-time business?
So I've been in business professionally since 2015.
Okay.
But I've been doing detailing, like I said, on an interior level for probably about 25 plus years. And then we also do the paint correction and ceramic coatings as well.
Excellent. And what was it you did before you obviously got into the detailing professionally?
I did a lot of different jobs, some of them involving vehicles. I was a car stereo installation guy in high school for a couple different companies. And then I went to worked construction for quite a few years, till my body kind of said, what else can we do that we like? And when I got into detailing, it was something different every day, and I just love it. So
yeah, certainly different professions, going from, the car sort of installs, stereo install isn't sort of too far away from what a lot of people do with involvement with cars with detailing anyway, but the construction certainly is. It's certainly a different field altogether, isn't it?
oh yeah, it's a whole different, that at the end of the day, you feel very good, but your body, like I said, is almost spent at a point. So it's very tough to keep that up every day. And eventually I just also wanted to work for myself. I always kind of knew that. So
yeah, definitely. So obviously with the detailing business, is it obviously, I can see you're in a studio there, but have you ever been mobile, or do you intend going mobile?
We will go back to mobile eventually when I have the manpower and the fleets to do it. But yes, to answer your question, originally I started mobile just at my own house, in my driveway, in my garage. Did that for a few years. And then from there, I went to a storage unit where I had no restrooms for me or customers, no running water. So it was interesting to do it out of there, but I did carry a business license there. And then eventually fast forward to here. And I've been here for about 3 to 4 years in this brick and mortar location in Longmont, Colorado. And man, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So obviously with I think there's quite a fair bit of differences between the States and England with setting up. I mean, somebody can come along, in most cases in England, they can lease a factory unit, call it studio, and they can set up doing, detailing cars straight away. As long as the landlord says you can't do cars, you can do that. But obviously in the States, you've got licenses and things you've got to apply for, haven't you, with local authorities and things. So how does that work? And what sort of licenses do you need?
You need a couple different licenses as far as a business license, obviously, like you talked about, but then for SEMA and other entities, you need to register it accordingly. So I think in our area, it's essentially down as a car wash. But you definitely, like you said, check with your local state and city ordinance, because it's different everywhere.
Yeah.
From how you catch the water to, everything you need to do properly with it. So I think we're down as a car wash officially when we go to SEMA.
Yeah. So it could also be different county to county, I presume, within Colorado as well, which I found out when we were in Florida recently. From one county, I could literally step the county borderline, and in one county we couldn't buy alcohol until 12 o'clock, but we could step back, and in that county we could.
Oh yeah, definitely. So it's just like that out here, different areas,
Yeah, different, certainly that's one thing in England, where it's the law is the law across England, whereas obviously you have different states, which obviously are almost sort of like countries, but then you have your counties within there, which also have different laws, don't they? So I mean, it can make it very difficult for somebody setting up. They've got to know the county laws quite well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And if you don't check with them, even if you're in your driveway, there's certain areas, counties, I won't mention them, but in our areas, that if you're doing obviously iron remover or that type of stuff, you want to collect that anyways, obviously properly. But there's places they'll write you a ticket for doing it, even if it's washing a vehicle outside with your own water, because how's it running off? Is it going into streams and rivers? So environmentally wise, you have to be very, inept to what you're doing with it.
Cool. And obviously, as far as collecting when you're washing vehicles off in those sort of regions, how are you doing that? How are you collecting the water?
Basically just a collection mat with a shop vac, or however you need to do it, and then properly disposing of that water.
Yeah, I remember the one that came out originally, which I think was almost like the original one, called Vacuum.
Yep.
Many years ago. I remember them coming out, and we were looking at getting them over here in England as well. That's quite some years ago now. That's probably 15-20 years ago they came out now, I think, vacuums. That was what I call the original one. I don't think anybody had actually brought one out until they brought that out. So are they still around?
I think they are, amongst other companies that have kind of, done that same sort of thing. But to ask you, what are your guys? I know they're much more, strict with you guys. What are your rules for that sort of thing if you are washing a vehicle outside?
I think the law in England states that you should collect the water because of environmental health with drains and things, but people don't.
Right. Okay.
People don't. They just don't, because they don't get it. The councils don't really say anything unless somebody actually complains quite high up the chain. But it's amazing. A lot of people will wash cars off. People will wash cars off at factory units. You get mechanic stations where they'll have like a valet bay, wash bay, and they'll wash clients' cars off as they're coming in for servicing, for engine servicing or whatever, or yearly checks. They'll do all those sort of things for customers, and there's no real regulation to it,
right?
Which makes it a lot easier here, even though it is actually law that you should collect the water in England. Nobody ever has done, and nobody ever really implements it. But I think as the world sort of becomes a much greener place, I think detailers are going to find they're going to get hit very hard here.
Oh yeah.
And it's something they should look at doing, is, the collection side of things and the recycling of the water side of things. Do you have to recycle it?
Oh yeah, depending on what you're doing for sure. And like you just said a bit ago, even if you don't have to, you should be, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, because it's all going into the drains and waterways, rivers, everywhere else, and people just don't really sort of think about that. And it's, I mean, the thing is, when we're around London, for argument's sake, it's a bit like being sort of central downtown in Los Angeles or somewhere like that, where you got cars parked on the street, you got cars going by, and detailers are coming along and washing and detailing cars on the side of the street. And their van might be parked 10 cars away when they're washing the car 10 cars down. So for them, it's very, very difficult to do that. But I think the time will come where I think this will get clamped down on in England as well.
Oh yeah, and we'll probably just see, I think, in my opinion, a lot more eco washes that people didn't know of, and that sort of thing, when you don't always need that water.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, obviously a lot of people, when they first came out, slated all these waterless car washes where you spray the product on, and I mean, they're obviously no good for a truck that's been off-roading or anything like that. But what's your opinion on all those sort of things?
Well, just like you said, I would take it to the contamination level of that particular vehicle, how the customer is maintenance washing that particular vehicle, coating or not. And that all is a huge part of it. If, like you said, it's one that's off-road all the time, or in a industrial area all the time, obviously that's going to need mechanical, chemical decontamination, as well as probably a good rinse. Yeah. Where there are some vehicles that truly you can do a waterless wash on, for say like this one behind me, and it's very easy to clean it, wipe it, get on to what you're doing. But as a paint corrector, it's always in my mind that, okay, no more hands on the vehicle than you need to. Yep. And even as I say that, I'm like, rinse it first with exact zero water, rinse it off.
Yeah, definitely. It's got to be, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously a lot of technology changed out there now with all these, sort of waterless car wash systems. But I mean, I remember when they first came out, and it was everybody, people were trying to sort of get this over, how it was encapsulating the dirt and lifting it off and putting it into the sort of spray that you put on, and how it sort of foamed up or whatever, and it was encapsulating the dirt and things. But I mean, a lot of people were very skeptical about it. I mean, admittedly, I was as well myself, and it's one that I've never ever gone down the route of using it. I mean, right. Yes, we've detailed cars where we didn't need to wash them, where they're basically show cars where it's pointless washing them, where you can literally just sort of carry on with doing maybe minimal clay bar treatment, and then, quick detailer over to carry on doing whatever you're doing. So there are those sort of steps, but I mean, a lot of the time with daily drivers, it's almost impossible.
Oh yeah, it's, and one of those things where I tell people you can also use Eco Wash in a snow foam cannon and do it that way, and then rinse it off. And that's a great way to get the cleaning abilities, of that Eco Wash without having to touch that really dirty vehicle. But as you and I know, if it's an off-road vehicle, off-roading all the time, yeah. I don't care where you're at, you don't want to be wiping those dirt back, or rocks, I should say, back into the paint.
No, exactly. No, that's the big problem, is it's whether that technology will ever, I can't see it myself, sort of becoming that advanced that it can do that. I mean, it'll be polishing itself.
Right. They won't need us.
No, exactly. If it gets that far advanced, I think it'll be, I think that's one good thing with this industry. I mean, like a lot of industries where they got robots in doing things, it's a bit like our industry with the leather side of it. It's something that what we call the service industry, and it's something that can never ever be replicated or replaced by a robot, because it's like when you're decontaminating a vehicle or clay barring that vehicle, you're going by sensory touch of your fingers a lot of the time to feel whether you've got all that contamination off when you're clay barring. That's right. Something that a robot would never be able to be advanced to tell, that sensory touch to then tell its brain that it's right. Right. No. That's what I think is good with our industry, especially with the leather side of it and with the detailing side. It's something that I don't think could ever be replicated or replaced by a robot.
Oh no, tell that robot walking around Mobile Tech that you and I saw to walk up to a vehicle and, well, how does it feel?
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. It was certainly, I'm a bit skeptical of robots and things, especially ones that are very, very lifelike. I mean, which there are some out there. They're very, they're strange. It's like you're talking
foreign, right?
Yeah, it's very foreign. It's like you're talking to nobody, and you really are. And they're really strange. So interesting. So tell us, I mean, obviously with the industry, what sort of challenges did you find setting up?
I think like every small business owner, or I'll even say entrepreneur, I thought, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. This will be very easy. Let's go into this and make a business out of it. And the work side of it for me becomes very easy, because if I don't know how to do it, I'm going to learn how to do it, or fail to the point on my own personal level that I professionally then know how to do it. I'm going to go train on it. But I think on the business side of it, myself and others included that I've talked to, is where it becomes, tough running employees doing the business things that need to be done every day. So as far as challenges, yeah, I would say for me, it was on the business end, but get mentors, get business coaches, just like we have in detailing for paint correction and other things. There's business coaches and like-minded individuals like I've talked to you about out there. So network with them, learn from them, and you can learn something from everybody you meet. So
definitely. I mean, a lot of these people that are just maybe your customers as well. And I mean, they're prepared to talk to you. I mean, some of these guys could be just, maybe successfully employed by a company, or they could be company owners, and they have a different aspect and a different outlook on what their business is, of things that you maybe don't even think of. And it's something that we do quite regularly. We talk to people, and we talk to suppliers that, we ask suppliers of anything. It could be office equipment. And this is people that we know are maybe like our telecoms people. We talk to them, and we, sort of ask them questions, and they help us, and that's what having that mentor there is, having that second or third opinion, maybe something you didn't think of, that could easily, you could think you've got a great idea, and they could just mention one thing and it throws a spanner in the works, and that could actually save you a lot of money wasted by trying to sort of bring it to market.
Oh yeah.
And it's definitely just talking to those people. And I think that's the key to it. It's just having those people on board, talking to people about the machines that you want to use, the right machines, and any new machines coming out, techniques, which is what mobile tech's really great about. You've got all these people you can network with and talk to, and, social media is great, but talking to them in person is far better. And, you can sort of get a lot more information from people by seeing them in person than you can from social media a lot of the time.
Oh yeah. Like I told you, it's such that, oh wow moment when you meet the person finally, like I did you and your wife at Mobile Tech. And it's, they are good people. They love what they do just like me. And, that's what we all got to keep going, is supporting each other, because we should all be able to do well in this industry. Well, competition's a good thing. I'm not saying it's not, but we got to support each other. We're all in it together.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of it. I mean, we find it with some industries. I mean, in particular, the leather industry is really, it's almost cutthroat, which I absolutely hate, and we don't ever get involved with doing it. But there's so many companies out there that would love to stab you in the back as much as they possibly could. And, I'm sure there's probably guys in the detailing industry that would do that, but I find the detailing industry a lot more professional compared to sort of like business to business competitors. It's like everybody's got to work together, and it's me. I mean, we talk with the guys at, Color Lock and stuff like that. They're competitors of ours. We were talking to Lars and things when we were there in MTE, and to Ram and stuff. I mean, obviously Ram's in England, Lars is in Germany, but I mean, again, they're a great bunch of guys, and we get on, every time we meet, we get on really well, and which is what it's all about. If we can help them and they can help us, and that means we can help our industry grow, and that's the position that we all need to be in, is to help each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. Perfect example is, I know you met them down there, and they're great people, but the Kimballs of Kimball Automotive Detailing, I followed them for a long time online, and man, loved their family, and met them down there. And like I just told you, what a good experience, talk with them, network with them, and yeah, detail friends for life, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's certainly a different way of doing things, certainly. And it's, it's there's so many people out there like that, though. I mean, it's not, just sort of Joe and Cody and that. I mean, and obviously Joe you know, who obviously comes along board as well. And, you know, you can tell he absolutely loves what he does with his enthusiasm, the smiles on his face, you know, and it's just fantastic to see that in, you know, in little Joe. I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant. It really is fantastic. It's just good.
Oh, yeah.
It's excellent. But I mean, again, you know, there's so many people out there that you can sort of look at, and some of them you just don't even think about, you know, to sort of look at and sort of get inspired by. That's the thing, you know, there's so many people that can inspire you, you know, not just in the detailing industry. I mean, it's just other industries as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like I said, you can meet something from everybody you learn. So yeah, you can learn something from everyone you meet, excuse me.
Yep.
So to not go about it that way in life is, you know, a major strike against you that I probably did when I was younger. We've all been that logic of, I know what I know and this is what I know, but you know, I just take it as a learner now, and I'm addicted to learning. So any training I can afford to do, I'm going to continue to do and just better myself in the industry while we're at it.
That's it. I mean, there's a lot of people that we sort of find in the industry as well. I mean, it's getting a lot better now, admittedly, but people were before, well, it's like, I'm at the top of my game, I don't need to learn. Technology changes so much, so quickly, so fast, especially in these last sort of 10, 15 years. Technology has changed so much. And you get some of these guys where they're blinkered on, and I don't need to go on a course. And, you know, I've been involved in the leather industry for over 30 years now, and I am researching every single day. Every single day, I am researching about my industry, different types of leathers being developed, you know, different things being developed in the industry, new types of leathers coming out, new different types of processes. We are constantly learning every single day. And that's what it's about, you know, and we're learning from people we train, believe it or not. And I'm not frightened to admit that. I mean, we learn all the time from guys we train, you know, all the time we're learning new things.
Oh, yeah. I've been to Rupes, USA here in Colorado.
You're
quite a few times, to the point where I've made very good friends, I can call them, with Jason Rose and Dylan and Sarah and all the great people over there. And I've trained there a lot, to the point where they'll invite me to trainings to help them, or just, again, sharpen your skills.
Yep.
And like you said, every time I learn and meet someone new, and they may teach me a technique on polishing that I didn't have, or like you said, an aspect on business.
Yep.
So yeah, for that reason, I'll continue to train. I'll continue to learn. And like you said a little bit ago, I think we all have to be a bit of a product tester nowadays. Yeah, you don't have to all be scientists, but you have to be able to know your product inside and out when that customer is asking you about it. How does it apply to their vehicle?
Exactly. Yeah, because you never know who that customer is at the end of the day. And
that's right.
They could know chemicals more than what you know them. That's the thing. And
I guarantee it.
And I mean, they've probably sat there, they've done their research to know about your company, the products that you're going to use, and they want to make sure that you're not just some, I don't know, chancer, and going to feed them with a load of information that is basically bull. And they want that correct information, and that's what they're looking for when they're giving you that business for their detail of their car, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Trust and loyalty.
Oh, yeah, definitely loyalty. And I tell everybody in this industry that I talk to, especially when they own a detailing business or work at one, is under promise and over deliver. So every time, no matter what you're doing, that customer is going to come to you for that area expert. And if you're not, they're going to come to you anyways, because they want to know what you think on it. Where should I go? You tell me what it needs. Yeah. You know, and that's a very good feeling when you get to that point in your company where people are coming to you as the expert and saying, well, what do you think?
Yeah. That's obviously, that's good when you get to that sort of position, isn't it? And they're asking you, and, you know, there might even be, I mean, we get it where people are wanting to buy a new car, and I mean, it's new to them. It's maybe a secondhand car, maybe a couple of years old, and they're asking us to go and have a look at the leather side of it. You know, can you come and have a look at the leather? I've had somebody look at the bodywork, but I want the leather expert to come in and have a look to tell me what the leather is, you know, and then we'll go in and look at it, you know, with special digital electronic microscopes and things, you know, to make sure that there is nothing surfacing that you can't see to the naked eye. And that's the difference between us and a lot of other people. You know, we try to be very in-depth and very thorough, and, you know, we try to be innovators in our industry, which we've done many, many times with products that we've brought out. You know, we've innovated the industry throughout the world on many occasions. And it's a bit like Jason rows, with the microfiber pattern things. It's just, until I was at MTE, I had no idea that was Jason's thing. I had no idea at all. And the amount of times I've bought all the Maguire's ones and stuff like that and used them, and I just had no idea, but he was the guy behind it all.
Oh yeah, like he says, he was developing it back in the day at Maguire's and now perfecting it at Rupes. And like you said a bit ago, yeah, you're not wrong. It's a system, it's engineered, so trust it to do what it does, and you do what you do. But no, you're just like you guys and the research and technology you do, and just the photo you shared the other day on social media of what it really looks like, the damaged leather, in that, under that microscope.
Exactly.
Wow, it's amazing. Just like the Rupes pads, when you see them, you're like, wow, lot going on there.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like with that particular image, that we shared there, to the naked eye, it just looked like perfect, normal leather. No damage on it whatsoever. But as soon as you started putting it onto the electronic microscope and looking at it, you can see all the fine sort of cracking that you cannot see to the naked eye. And that's basically like having and that to me is where somebody's doing an injustice to their client, because they need to advise the client of this potential damage that's occurring on their seat, to prevent that, slow that down, and hopefully make that seat last a lot longer than what it would do if they just left it to be a major problem, because it's like having a cut yourself. If you don't dress it and clean it, it's going to go bad, and that's what's going to happen with the seats. It's the same. If you just leave cars out in the sunshine, in the desert, the paint's going to bake and it's going to go dull and it's going to crack, and, it's going to be that point where you can't revive it. Whereas at least if you protect it, look after it, it's going to last at the end of the day. It's the same principle, it's just looking after your client's investment, isn't it?
Oh yeah. And like you said a bit ago, educate that customer.
Yes, exactly.
And they're gonna feel so much better about it. The maintenance is gonna be better for both of you, because you both know what to do, even if the customer's doing it and you're not.
Yep.
But yeah, very much so.
And it is I think that's where a lot of people sort of fail, I think, is with businesses that they'll sell them a product or a service, and then that's where it stops. It literally stops right there. They don't. And I think that's maybe some people sort of make that what I call a rookie mistake, beginning in the detailing industry, getting into it, where they're sort of starting off calling themselves a detailer when they're not really a detailer, because they haven't really got that skill level at that point. And it's sort of this, they just take the money, give the client the car back, take the money, and they don't give them that what I call the aftercare, the education side of it, is telling the client how to maintain it, tips, tricks, pitfalls, what to look for, what not to look for, how to maintain it, the certain types of products you should use, that they could go and use something on it that's just destroyed all your hard work.
Oh yeah. And like you just said, you worked so hard on it. Why not educate that customer how to keep that vehicle looking like that? Exactly. Whether it's one of your wash kits or someone else's, or, just keep them coming in for that. And like I said, be translucent, be upfront with them, tell them how you do it with your vehicles. And if this was my vehicle, this is what I would do. And, they're going to appreciate you for that and come back to you for that every time.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously with your studio you got there, what sort of challenges do you face in Colorado weather condition wise, especially in winter?
Yeah, in the winter, obviously it's much colder. But what Jason and others will tell you from Rupes is, out here in Colorado, we use the lovely magnesium chloride that does a great job at keeping the roads from freezing. But you leave that on your vehicle or your coating or, your wheels and tires, and before you know it, everything's breaking down, and, it's much harder to upkeep that vehicle. So in winter months, I'd say the challenge is really getting that vehicle clean, even though it's going to get dirty again, just like what you're dealing with now. It may be snowing or lots of wind. So as far as what mobile guys deal with out here, a lot more than I deal with. Yeah. I know when I started, when it gets to this winter month, you may not be able to even do the detail unless you have a good heater in a garage, because that product may be freezing on that rag you're spraying it on before you can apply it when it comes to interiors and that kind of stuff. So yeah, the challenge for them is truly the elements out here in the winter. In the summer, same difference, to the heat, whatnot. But yeah, having a shop is huge on that level.
Yeah. So obviously with the product you mentioned that they're putting on the roads, what's it actually doing to the coatings then? If
I'm sorry, say that again.
The product that they're using on the roads for the, for the snow and ice and things to stop them freezing, what is that actually doing to the coatings if it's sort of left on and not attended to quite quickly?
Basically, it is, I would say, like your skin, I tell customers you can clog a coating. So improper soap that would have carnauba wax in it, which is a alternative to a coating, is obviously going to clog that coating. But the magnesium chloride even more so, because it's made to make sure an area doesn't freeze, not made to sit on your vehicle's paint. But when it does, it's going to clog that coating just the same. It's not going to bead, it's going to sheet. It's going to hold the dirt and dust like wax will, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And yeah, just you need to make sure you're getting that off all the time. And then if you're washing that vehicle by hand and that film is maybe on there, you run the risk of kind of marring that coating or scratching it just like you would your paint.
Yeah. Yeah. So quite a challenge then.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I deal with a lot of customers at that first oh wow moment is, what do you mean I can't go through that $5 car wash every day or every other week that touches my vehicle? And I say, well, you can, but on a warranty level, even if it doesn't have a warranty, you're going to lose beading, you're going to lose protection, you're going to scratch your coating, and it is a sacrificial surface that we'd rather abuse than our paint or clear coat. But again, you don't want to if you don't have to.
No, I mean, we get that with the leather side of it. It's, I mean, especially a lot of younger people coming into the industry, they're all like, you don't need to put a protection cream on leather. It's got a clear coat on it. So I then turn around to them and say, well, why are you ripping off your clients, charging them for polishing the car or putting a coating on it? Well, it's paint, it needs protection.
No different.
I'm like, there's no difference. It's a painted leather with a clear coat. You've got a metal surface with a paint and a clear coat. Exactly the same process. It needs to be protected. It needs to have that. I mean, leather has a 1% breathability, so it can breathe, it can absorb. And after 3 years, there's no clear coat on there anyway. And that's when you should be protecting it even more than you would prior to those 3 years. Because obviously, once the clear coat's gone, you're just left with, standard paint. I mean, I don't know whether you've ever seen this with leather before, where you've sort of sprayed a cleaner on there to sort of clean it, and you've done all your cleaning, and then you're maybe left with like a streak line in the leather. Have you ever sort of experienced that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Basically just unsealed or unprotected leather that at a point you or somebody stained with dieback, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's obviously, you get that quite a fair bit with like a standard sort of what we call a pigmented leather seat, where it's got a paint and a clear coat on, and you get that sort of stain appearing. That's because the clear coat's been removed off the surface. And what's happening is your water-based products are trying to react and chemically change with the water-based paint that's on there. So, and a lot of people don't realize that is exactly what that is. And that's exactly all it is doing. It's just soaking in and just running down. And that's all it's doing, just getting into the paint. And it's just a weak point of the paint. So that is obviously a weak structure area that you then need to address. Easy way to address that is once it's dried out, you can dry it with a hairdryer and it will dry out. Actually re-lacquer the seat with a proper leather lacquer paint, with a proper leather clear coat lacquer, re-lacquer it, and you won't get that happening again. It's a very simple process to resolve. So it's just knowing what to look for. It's the same with anything, with any industry, just knowing what to look for.
Exactly.
I tell you what, I was listening to Rennie Doyle's podcast the other day. He had Oscar Hernandez and things on, and it was quite interesting because we were talking to Oscar and stuff on it's one of the IDA things that we do with the health and wellness and things that we're on the committee of. And we were talking to the guys on there about doing things. And I was saying, maybe a suggestion that we should look at is having a write-up about the sort of mental effect sides of going from mobile to workshop and things like that, and vice versa. And it was actually strange because Oscar said that's actually what we're going to be talking to in about an hour's time with Rennie Doyle. He said that is just absolutely amazing that you've mentioned it. But what I didn't realize was I've always thought it was the opposite way around. I didn't realize that actually coming from mobile to a workshop was actually cheaper than going from, than doing it the other way around. Because obviously with the mobile side of things, you've got a lot more costs involved. I actually thought it was always more expensive going into a unit, but they're more controlled, aren't they, at the end of the day? And, obviously when you're mobile, you've got a lot more costs involved than you have, and a lot more risk involved than you have running from a shop.
Oh yeah, definitely. And on a mobile level, Yeah, obviously, if you're doing it professional, you're bringing your own water, you're bringing your own tools, you're kind of bringing your shop to the area.
Yeah.
So kind of like we were talking about earlier, area specific, definitely. But if you got the right setup, I could see where mobile could be better or where shop could be better. It's kind of a double-edged sword. The thing with the shop is it's usually, in my case, a climate controlled environment where I do have this studio you see behind me and then a bay next door where it's going to become my traditional wash bay or oversized vehicles, boats, RV area. But yeah, you have more power, you have more water, you have more, I think of that end of it when you're at the shop.
Yes.
But then, just like you said with mobile, you got to end up bringing the whole shop anyways. So.
Yeah, and it's just obviously things go wrong, and at least when you're in the shop, you can easily correct those sort of things. Machines break, you've maybe got spare things there that you can rely on, and trying to have everything out on the road is very, very difficult. But yeah, I never sort of viewed it that way. I always thought it was more challenging going from mobile into a shop, but it's not. It's total opposite to what I always believed. So again, you learn something new every day.
Oh yeah,
every day there's something new. So obviously, with the detailing side, what's your sort of favorite car that you've ever detailed, or motorbike or car or whatever it is?
That's tough to say. I would say maybe the exotics, but the more I get into it, I'll say the older original matching numbers muscle cars or hot rods.
Yeah.
My favorite was, I think, a 1932 Ford, all matching numbers Ford Cabriolet, I believe, hot rod.
Lovely.
And $130,000 vehicle. Be careful, don't do this to it, don't do this to it.
Yep.
But yeah, I did a two-step paint correction on it and even some isolated damp sanding. But that was probably my favorite to work on. Just one of those that I still refer back to the photos, and I'll have to share them again sometime. But just one of those cars that you're like, wow, today's a good day. It's a good day.
Yeah, definitely. So would that have had original paint on it then?
Yes, it parts of it did, to answer your question. The hood top of it was repainted. So actually why the owner came to me is that part of it got repainted, and they didn't properly wait for that paint to cure, and someone else polished it improper and put some improper swirl marks on there. We know what those look like. So basically I just neatened it all up for him and then protected it for him. But yeah, he was real happy.
So it was like a single stage paint originally then, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Single stage. So the moment you're polishing, that color's coming off on the pad. And if you don't know what you're doing, you'd like to scare yourself. And
could easily go through.
Oh, definitely. There were parts of it when I measured with my paint gauge that were, I think, under 1 mil on the like tail lights and stuff, because original paint.
Yeah. That's scary when they're that thin. That's for sure. So is it, I mean, obviously you were saying your father and things with the hot rod and things, is that sort of like a passion, would you sort of specialize in something like that if that's how the industry went for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's how I started. My father kind of taught me when I was younger, everything on the interior detailing end. He knew how to properly wash a car, but he never really polished it or anything. And if any of his friends did, it was a rotary polisher.
Yep.
But yeah, that's something that I've worked on a lot. I'm very comfortable working on, whether it's old exotic single stage paint or just old American single stage paint. That's kind of how I grew up. The smell of them running, that sort of thing. That's definitely something I like doing.
Yeah, certainly. They definitely have a smell, a certain smell when they're running, and it's just, I don't know. There's something you can tell with an older car, with a classic car. With its interior. It's not a modern car or even like a classic car that's been restored, that's had a new interior put in it. There's just a certain smell that a classic car has that's totally original, and it's just, I don't know, it just oozes character, does that smell, and I love it. It's just something else to it completely.
Oh yeah, definitely. We used to go to Barrett Jackson all the time when I was younger in Scottsdale.
Oh wow!
And I loved all the cars that came through there from the movies and everything. But the all original matching numbers is, like you said, what you find yourself, just some gems.
Yeah. I've been there a few times. Scottsdale to the Barrett Jackson auctions. We used to go to every cruise auction around the States and things. So, and then we used to do the go to Jimmy Lake's auction in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
But there's a huge man stood outside like a big cowboy outside the exhibition there. So we used to go there quite a fair bit and used to tour around quite a fair bit, going to different auctions and stuff like that around the States, all different places all over the place. So buying cars from all over in every state you could think of, we were buying and selling cars in it and going to auctions and doing things. So yeah, I mean, we used to meet quite a lot of famous people and stuff and things like that, and meeting Herb Brower was the guy that was like the director and inventor of like the Munsters and stuff like that and things in Beverly Hills, and John Frankenheimer, the guy that produced the French Connection and stuff like that. I mean, the amount of people we used to meet like that all the time was just out of this world. And, with the cars that they had and things, it was just staggering.
Oh yeah. We were down at Scottsdale once, and I think I met the Tuttles from Orange County Choppers.
Yeah.
And then another year we were down there and he happened to still be alive. I met Muhammad Ali.
Oh, wow.
Who's driving around. I've talked to Carol Shelby down there. It's just a place, a car mecca, really, and the way they do it down in Scottsdale, Arizona, on the polo fields or soccer fields, whatever those are, is just, worth seeing once in your life for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing. It's probably been some years since I last went. They're probably 30 years. So I mean, it's going to be something I'm going to definitely be getting back to see again, because it certainly changed enormously as America since I was there all those years ago. So definitely very different. With the highways. I mean, before obviously all the highways were 55 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Now everybody seems to drive at 155 mile an hour. So no, they seem to go even faster. It's like obviously it's 70 mile an hour. A lot of cases on the freeways and things, which is what it is in England. It's 70 mile an hour limit on our freeways, and it's roughly the sort of same now in a lot of America, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 70 or 75.
Yeah. So it's the old days of 55. When we used to travel, I used to literally fly into Orlando, drive all the way from Orlando up to New York, right up to Maine with a hire car, all the way across America, straight up to California. And that was all at allegedly 55 mile an hour. So yeah. I don't think it's very, I think the only time we ever did 55 mile an hour was when we were stopped by police and threatened to be chucked in the county jail, and we were escorted out of the county for going too fast. So yeah, interesting.
The original road tripping, right?
Yeah. Oh Christ, some of the roads that we used to go on, especially across some of the desert areas. I mean, 30 years ago, I mean, they were basically dirt tracks, and it was literally like watching an old Western movie with like tumbleweed going by and little twisters coming across your path. It was actually really cool. But I mean, I was only like 14. I was between 14 and 20 at the time. So to me, it was like a dream come true. It was just, wow. It was just unbelievable. So very, very young age to experience all those different things.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely very different. I mean, what do you think is the biggest challenge you actually have today with the business? Is it chemicals changing, or environments changing, or car paint?
Yeah, I would say chemicals changing is part of it. I would say as far as on the professional paint correcting level, paint is getting thinner every year, as you know, on these newer vehicles. And the more trainings you take at Rupes or other places, they're going to teach you about that. So I think the biggest change we're going to see is in the future, most vehicles a lot tougher to do those 2 steps or 3 steps or maybe even 1 steps. Like I mentioned, that vehicle I worked on that was so low on the paint gauge. You and I both know there's a go, no go point.
Oh yeah.
And it seems like Mercedes, no matter what type of vehicle it is, the newer it gets, the thinner that paint gets. And that's how they kind of make their money too,
Yep. Cutting corners and saving the planet, so they reckon, and just cutting corners and making more money.
That's exactly right.
What they're doing, certainly, definitely. So what do you think the industry's lacking?
Oh man, that's tough to say. I would say just more of like we were talking about, more just support your fellow detailer. Don't be one shop against the other. See what you two shops can brainstorm together. See what you're good at, see what they're good at, help each other out. And just like we've been talking about on this loosely, just less bashing, more learning.
Exactly.
Let's all learn together. If you don't know something about paint correction, come learn from me. If I don't know something about leather, come learn from you. you know, and we all need to get better. Kind of why I created also that group at Mobile Tech was not just to organize everything, but to get all these people together in this industry that I truly do care about, and they care about me. And we all as companies have to work with each other.
Yep.
They don't work for me, I don't work for them, we work together.
Yep,
And
exactly.
the more we get back to that and get back to learning, I think it's just going to make us all more money.
Yeah, and well, it will do. I mean, because it's, if everybody can get along, and I mean, yes, we're all out to earn a living and we're all competitors with one another, but the thing is, I mean, there's certain things I can do and you can't, and I can't and you can, and vice versa, you know. And it's about having that mutual respect and sharing what you can't do to somebody else, and they would hopefully not step on your toes and take off from the job what you can do, you know. And I think that's where a lot of respect comes in with people, and that would make the world a lot better place, you know. And it's like, for argument's sake, you don't do PPF at the moment, but you're looking into that. I know that, and you've told us before. And it's, if you've got a guy down the road that does PPF, you've obviously got to send that there, even though he's a detailer. You've got to trust him that he's not going to take that detail off you, or the customer's not going to go back there, you know. And that's where that mutual respect comes in. If the customer does go there, the guy should say, no, you've got to go back to Kyle because he's your detail guy. I do your PPF. That's the agreement I have with him, you know. And that customer would probably respect him more for doing that than actually taking the work. Because I know I would, you know, I know I would, because I would just turn around and say to the, you know, if I was the customer, I'd be like, he's just shafted his friend. You know, that guy had the decency to recommend me to go there for the PPF. He's now just shafted him out of a detail and taken that detail on. I would actually think less of that guy, even though he's helped me and done my PPF and done a detail for me. I'd think less of him because he's shafted another guy up the road, which you can't do, you know. And that's, again, that's where the bashing side of things come in, and, you know, everything's got to be a lot better, and, you know, it's just helping everybody, isn't it? And that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah. And if you know, like I said, competition's not a bad thing.
No.
But what I tell myself is leave this job or this day better than you found it.
Yeah, exactly.
And is that always easy to do? Definitely not. If you were to talk to my wife and family, they, you know, probably have a different take on it than you and I would. But when you're separated from that, you think about the grand scheme of why we do it. All of us are family, to, you know, have them have a better life. And yeah, we all need to protect each other.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about obviously being in business earlier on, and the sort of uphill struggles and one thing and another that people could face. Obviously, with that, there's a lot of things that people have got to have in place, like proper insurances and things and stuff like that. You know, what sort of, not advice, but what sort of hints and tips could you give people that are starting out? Because I know a lot of people don't do this with insurances and have the right cover, and they just think we'll do it when we can afford it and we'll get along, and then obviously it all goes wrong and it's a disaster. You know, what, from that sort of perspective and side of it, what could you sort of say to somebody that's starting out a business? What's the most important thing they could do, other than training, obviously, is to have for their business?
You know, like you just said, just make sure that you're doing everything right. With the business, it's fine to do it with detailing and other things, to, you know, fail and then learn how to do it the proper way. But you do that with business one time and you're probably out of business.
Yeah.
So what I would say is just get better at keeping notes, get better at doing your books, get better at doing everything, marketing, talking to customers, everything on the business side of it, essentially being a people person, whatever it may be. And then from there, everything else will come very easy. Like you said, lean on these tax advisors or CPAs or business mentors and detail mentors, and training's fine, but adapt a system, get a SOP for your shop that you truly like and you use. And if not, find other people that can maybe build one for you. And just learn a system like your system and Roop has his detail system. You need to build a business system in your mind before you get into it. And how's this going to work? And if anything, learn how to be a problem solver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, one thing you mentioned there, CPAs, tell people what that is, obviously, because a lot of people in England listen to this and around the world, and they don't, we you know, obviously they're a lot of podcasts that we do, they're hearing that spoken about quite a fair bit. And we have had people say to us, can we get somebody to explain to us what a CPA is and what they do?
Yeah, basically, I tell people at its root, it's a financial advisor at a point. They may do your taxes, they may be able to do lots of things for you, But what it is someone you can say, hey, is this a business expense? Can I write this off? So from that perspective, there's somebody that just does their job professionally. Let them do it. You know what you're doing. So it's just a leg up for you and your business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I've explained to people before, it's basically like what we have in this country, what we call a bookkeeper, or like a sort of thing. So they're sort of guys that you can rely on. They're telling you whether that expense can be claimed, how you can maybe get some extra incentives to claim things back from the government and so on and so forth, which is what I've said. And I just wanted to get somebody to explain it that's in the States so that they understand what I'm telling them is correct information. That was all.
Yeah, someone that can advise them the proper things to do for your business financially. And like you said, what's going to help you, what's going to hurt you, maybe your state sales tax, if you have one, whatever it may be.
Yep. Yeah, because again, it's stuff like that. I mean, where people go into business, they just forget about paying their taxes. And then obviously, eventually they get called up on, they knock on your door. And once they're doing that, there's no going back.
Oh, no, it's something that even though we're a small business, me and my wife are lining up every year, just like you guys do, and getting them the proper information, if not asking them what else they need, and, getting just a system set up away from pen and paper.
Yeah.
I'm old school, so I love writing everything down, but you got to have it on both ends. And again, they're good at what they do, so let them do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's what people sort of forget going into business. A lot of people sort of say, I'm going to become a detailer. And all of a sudden, it's so easy to build a website. And tomorrow morning, you've got a guy that's a detailer that was maybe a chef the day before, and now he's a detailer. And all of a sudden, that's obviously why I love the IDA, because of trying to standardize this industry, and why I joined the IDA was to be that professional sort of level. And it was to network with people and to get education from people. And that's what I'm getting from it, and I'm helping other people with that as well, which is what I really like about it. But people forget that just suddenly being a chef that day, a detailer the next day, there's a lot more involved with the business than just picking up a machine or getting a pad with some carnauba on it and putting it on a car. It's the running side, it's the financial side, it's the planning, it's the social media, it's having your financial books correct, and having the correct tax advice, and having the correct insurance. And there's so many things that people forget about, isn't there?
Oh yeah, it can be nerve-wracking at a point, and I'm still learning to this day. To tell you that I know everything about business, no way, of course not. No. I'd be sitting in my office all day and having a team of guys doing it all if that was the case.
Yeah, exactly.
But and just fail forward, learn from your mistakes, and figure out what you can do. And if you're not sure of something, ask somebody else. Like you said, the IDA is great for that networking fact of, hey, if you don't know, ask online, and just like I did the other day, and you're going to get a lot of really good information from people that do know.
Exactly, that's it. And I mean, it's I think a lot of things. I think people beat themselves up a lot when things do go wrong, and they think it's a failure. And there was I can't remember who the guy is now. I think he's known as the $50 billion man, I think, or something like that. And I was listening to one of his videos on YouTube, and he says, I've never failed. I've only tested. I always test. I've never failed. It's just a test. That's all I've done. And I think that is quite a good mindset to have, because he said the moment you start thinking failure, he said, that's it. You just want to jump off a cliff and kill yourself. He said, but if you can actually put it into perspective that you've just done it, run a test, and you're going to make that test better next time round. He said, that's all you're doing. He said, because that's all I'm doing. He said, with every business I've owned, businesses I've bought, businesses, investments I've made, investments I've bought. He said, every single one of them. He said, I've just tested, and everyone's got better and better every single time. And I think that's quite a good analogy and sort of mindset to sort of give yourself. It's, is that you're testing rather than failing. I mean, because there's nothing worse than being told you're a failure. That's just going to knock someone's confidence completely. And that sort of takes us back to the, stop all the bashing side of it, doesn't it? And it sort of takes you back to that side of it, and relying on other people, mentors and everything else. And it's, it sort of changed your mindset. And there's enough bad news with Facebook and other places as it is with social media. And it's, the way people come across, it's very difficult, isn't it, to sort of sometimes not take things personally.
Oh yeah. And, I will say I'm one that's had to learn, fail forward, but also I don't I don't lose anymore. I either win or I learn.
Yeah, exactly.
So look at it all as a learning experience. You didn't fail at anything.
Yeah.
You tried. You know how many people don't even try? So that's it, man.
Yeah. It's the same with us, you know, where we've like had guys where we've trusted them with products, where we've done it on sale or return, and we've never seen the money, and they've run off with the products, they've run off with the money. We just put it down to experience and just said, you know what, it was a test. We know what to do right next time. We won't be doing that again, you know. And it's again, you know, we've not failed. We've literally tested it. And then you get to know who those, what I call, who are the genuine people and who aren't the genuine people. And, you know, we've had our fair share of those sort of people, and you learn from them, you know. And but I'm a very trustworthy guy, and I still go and do it, and I still get burnt, but that's how it is. It's just life. But you know, you sort of do things slightly differently each time you do it, you know, and eventually it'll come to a point where we'll never do it because it's just not worth it, you know. And it's and it, you know, you just got to, it takes you back to that thing, doesn't it, about trusting other people when you're doing work with them, you know. And it's sending a job to somebody else and expecting the client to come back, and you know, it's just building that trust up. And once that trust is broken, you know, there's no repairing it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's most of these people, especially in our industry, they're trusting you with their vehicle. Some of them, it may be their dream car. Exactly. So, you know, I tell everybody, I detail every vehicle as if it's my car. Yeah. So I'm not going to do anything to your vehicle on a detail level that I wouldn't do to mine. You know, it's not just a IDA thing. That's just a me thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, a car is basically the second biggest investment anybody's ever, second biggest purchase they're ever going to make, other than buying their home.
Yep.
And a lot of people forget that. And we get it a lot with people that do a lot of supercars and things, and they're just like, just another Ferrari. So what? It doesn't matter that it's just another Ferrari. That is a $250,000 car that somebody has had to, at some point in their life, work their butt off to be able to go out and buy, you know. And it's not just another Ferrari. That is, to me, it's, I mean, even though I love them and I've done a lot of them, I still, every time I see one, I'm like jelly, you know. It's like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I can't believe this guy's trusted me to do this car, you know. And I still get it. It's that even with cars that are brand new that we get in today that are maybe, I don't know, $10,000. You know, we get some cheap cars here that $10,000 brand new. Even them, I'm like, this guy's trusted me with this car, you know. And it's almost, I don't know, it's really weird because it's just that trust that someone puts in me, you know, because it's their investment.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's what they can afford.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Oh, it is, definitely. Definitely. So I've got one more question before we sort of close up. It's a tricky one, this. Tricky one. We ask everybody. If there's a piece of information that you now know that you wish you had known when you first started, that you could have done differently today, what would it be?
Let's see. I would tell you that on a business level, every small business is a baby that will never grow up. And that's something that I learned from a business-minded individual, but basically it's always going to take work. Yep. No matter what you're doing, there's always going to be something that you need to work on. If you look at it this way, there's always something that's going to go wrong. Yep. But what I went back to is learn how to be a problem solver. Yep. And yeah, also just, you know, the proper techniques, how to take care of a car and how to wash it. That's the other thing. When I started, I wish I knew then what I know now, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's one thing I've never forgotten as well with them. Like you say, it's very, very similar to what you've just said there about, you know, the business never grows up. I always say treat your business as if it is like a human, like it's your baby, and that you're nurturing them to grow. And the thing is, what you got to remember is they never leave home. They always stay. So there's always growing to do. But a businessman once said to me when he was talking to me, it was a friend of his that was a Chinese friend of his. And this guy couldn't ever get his head around what he was on about until he said to this Chinese guy one day, what do you mean by that? And this guy turned around to somebody and it said to him, and this is the total opposite to what you think it's going to be. He said, he turned around to him and he said, I wish that man great employment. And my friend was like, that really is very kind of you. He said, that is so kind of you to wish them great employment. And he said, no, it's a Chinese proverb.
He said, it's only when we don't like people, we wish them great employment. He said, because the more they employ, the more problems they employ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like you say, your business isn't always growing.
Yep.
And I couldn't, and I always thought, that's real nice of him to wish those people great success with all those employing loads of people. But when you come to think about it, the more people you employ, the more problems you do employ.
Oh yeah.
Because by the time you get
more money, more problems, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing. It doesn't matter how big your business grows, the bigger it grows, the bigger the problems. That is the problem, and
right.
and when you're small, the problems are quite small, but the minute you start growing and growing and growing, the problems become so much bigger. You've only got to have a task, a staff force of 10 and 3 go off, and you've got a major problem on your hands with 3 work staff off just like that, and it's like you said, it's the business never stops growing, and it is a baby that's continually needs nurturing and directing continually. It's not just about machining a car. Any business, no matter what it is, it's continually nurturing that business in the right direction, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and like I told you, you got to be a hybrid. This world changes every day, so we just got to change with it, and shut up and show up, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just a lot of bite your tongue a lot of the time and go with the flow and get on with your job and do it and earn some money and keep a roof over your head for you and your family.
That's right.
Definitely. So tell us, how can we find you? Social media links? You on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, any of those sort of things? Where are you? TikTok?
Yeah, so we're on most platforms. On Instagram, we're at 303 KAD. And then on Facebook, we are Kyle's Auto Detailing. Yep. And that's how you can find us. And our local number here is 303-961-2134 for the Longmont, Colorado area.
Okay, cool. And we'll put all that into because this will obviously go out on YouTube as well. And we'll put it all in there and all the links to your social medias and stuff for that. And if you have a website, inbox me. And I know you said you were talking about building one, but if you do have one presently, inbox me and we can put that on there as well if you do have one. And we can get that all listed on there as well and get it all published and get it out for you. So that
sounds great. I appreciate you guys doing this with me today. And again, hope to see you at Mobile Tech or maybe in Colorado on a training end.
Hey, you never know. Yeah, I mean, I will come to Jason at some point because he said you've got to come and train with us. So we will get there at some point. It's just getting the time and stuff like that. And we're obviously in April, we're in Vegas anyway. So we're with Chris West in California.
Oh yeah, great guy. I know Chris.
Yeah, Chris is lovely. I've never met anybody so as trustworthy and as likable as what Chris is. He's just such a lovely, lovely guy. And he's helped us so much in this last sort of couple of years with COVID and things, with shipments he's got there and things and helping us out. But what we're doing down there is we're doing you can maybe tell people, we're doing a one-day event with Chris, which is with Solution Finish. So we're going to be promoting Solution Finish products with Chris, and we're going to split the day sort of 50-50 sort of thing. Half of it's going to be leather, half of it's going to be Solution Finished. Everybody's going to get a free bottle of Solution Finish plus product from LRC. And it's just like a one-day learning thing about how to apply Solution Finish properly, put the coating on there that Chris has now got, and how to use our leather products and do repairs and things like that. But we're charging $40 per person to come along. But what I've said to Chris is what I want to do is I want to give, because Chris wasn't charging, but I said I want to charge something because you're going to get obviously the right sort of people on board rather than people that say they're coming and then don't turn up. But what I want to do is every penny that we get at that $40, those $40, I've said to Chris, we're going to donate it, every penny, to some local cause, whether that's the fire, the police, the ambulance guys, or the church, or the children's home or school or whatever. We're donating every single penny to a local cause. So the more people you can tell to come on board to get there, the better it is, the more people that's going to benefit from it, from what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I can share it out on all our different stuff. I think I have some other training or family planned in April. Yep. So I'd love to be there, but I can't. But yeah, that sounds like a good setup. Chris's product is just amazing. I use it a lot for restoring. In Colorado, we get, I think it's 300 plus days of sunshine. Yep. So I use that product a lot and lean on it.
Yeah. Well, we import it here in the UK. So yeah, we love it and we use it and swear by it, and it's absolutely brilliant stuff. So there you go. But yeah, I'll send you the link to it's on our USA page, but I'll go and get on there and get the link for the for the event, and I share the event with you, so you've got it anyway. So any publicity we get, it'd be great, because I mean, we are donating every single penny to good causes. So we're gonna just pick one and just, however, if we can get 30 guys on board, I know it's not a lot of money, but it's better than nothing, and it's just going to be, hopefully we'll get some money raised for a local good cause at Chris, near Chris at Huntington Beach, hopefully, which is what we're doing.
Oh yeah, every little bit counts, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of people have had 2 years of crap, at putting it bluntly, and a lot of, especially charities and things, they've lost money, and some have gone out of business and stuff like that, and it's it's not an easy life for them at the moment, but anything we can do to help is the main thing.
That's right.
So there we go.
We found it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Leave the world a better place than what you found it in. That's the whole idea. Definitely. So there we go, guys. That is Kyle from Kyle's Auto Detailing over there in Colorado. And that was another episode of Totally Detailed Podcast. Thank you very much.